you say that effort doesn't scale,
Yeah.
right? I think that's a big one.
It is. It's so big.
It's so
So,
big.
I think so. In general, when we talk about systems, corporate particularly, but really many systems, it's about how do we work harder? How do we work
Yeah.
harder? How do we do
How do
more?
we get more?
How
Produce
do we
more.
extract more from each person? Oh, okay, we're going to get rid of people, but the work remains. And yes, the mantra is always going to be, okay, we just need to do like less is more. But what does less is more mean?
Hmm.
And how do you help people understand like what is less is more? How do we work smarter, not harder?
Right.
Right. So we have these like great phrases, but we don't ever help people move along that journey.
Hmm.
So when I say effort doesn't scale, particularly, I'm talking to high achievers, and high achievers have usually become successful by putting in a lot of extra effort. And
Hmm.
especially earlier in their careers, that's what's made them excel. That's what's made them stand out because they've been willing to go the extra mile. They've taken on stretch assignments, they've taken on stretch opportunities, projects, been visible. And that is how they've gotten to many of the seats that they've gotten in.
Hmm.
Um, so, what does that mean? That means they've literally grown up in a system that has rewarded them
Yeah.
for putting in extra effort. And as they continue to grow in their careers, obviously, from a psychology perspective, any behavior that's been positively reinforced is what becomes ingrained in the brain. And this is how I operate. So, what you naturally have over time are high achievers, leaders who have gotten to the seat that they're in by doing a lot of work and putting in a lot
Hmm.
of extra effort and
Right.
making a lot of sacrifices in order to be in the seat they're in. Now, I'm certainly not saying that there aren't sacrifices in certain positions that need to be made, right? I think that's just a
Right.
given. However, um, effort doesn't scale really comes from that stops working at a certain level, right? So, like, just churning out a lot or working harder, once you get to a more senior level, really, again, the only thing that matters is like, what is your judgment, especially in the environment that we're in right now? It's how are you able to interpret incomplete data? How are you able to navigate ambiguity? Well, just getting a ton of extra data and doing a ton of additional research is not the answer for how
Hmm.
you make better decisions. You make better decisions, you have better judgment by creating space to integrate back to the, conversation we were having earlier.
Hmm.
How do
Yeah.
you integrate everything you're hearing around you?
Yeah.
How do you make sense? How do you pick up the signal of the organization, the environment, your stakeholders, your customers, your competitors? You can't do that if you're just constantly in firefighting mode, which
Hmm.
is how we have a lot of leaders that, again, are just kind of forced into that mode by sheer function of their roles and the way the system has brought them up.
Right.
So, what you have is this disconnect. You have leaders needing to make really important, big strategic decisions. And you have these leaders at the same time have, let's say, if we think of them as like a computer, it's like they have 200 open tabs on
Right.
their computer.
Yeah.
A computer can't run with 200 open
No.
tabs, right? It's going to run best with like three tabs open. And so when I say effort doesn't scale, it's you can't scale your own capabilities. You can't access the best parts of you if you are just in go, 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 go.
Right.
Action, action, action. Let me put in more effort. Let me stay closer to this. Let me micromanage this. Let me put in another dashboard.
Right.
Let me measure more key performance indicators. Sure, that creates action, but that doesn't drive the business. That just creates busyness. And there's a
Yes.
huge difference
Huge.
between driving the business and creating busyness in the business.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably the number one way to burn out.
Totally.
That's why so many people just like a fuse has to like pop at some point because you're just like, you can't keep just going into overdrive. And that's like overfunctioning and that's overperforming and that's always overwhelmed. And that's why a lot of people just, whoo. They burn out, they're done, they're out.
Yeah.
They need to take a step back, but you can't just keep grinding.
I would say our systems have kind of created a leadership development environment of how do we produce for better or less like leadership robots. And that doesn't work anymore. That
No,
worked for a period in time, and that
yeah.
doesn't work for the moment that we're in right now, and it doesn't work for the foreseeable future.